We experience our body, and part of our body experience is to feel emotions. When we try to think about it or to learn how to feel emotions, we actually lose the real connection to ourselves. Usually when we feel something, we many times move to our thoughts or to our idea of what should we feel, and we experience that instead of the real emotions. For example, you lost somebody, you're in deep pain, and what you really experience is anger and frustration. You actually don't allow yourself to go really into the true feeling of pain and sadness that is below that. The reason for that real emotions, that we experience them to the full, are intense body experiences. And it's for us easier to think about it or to do and try to feel what we know we should feel than to really touch this intense experience. Another example, you sit in a group and you need to talk. And a lot of people are insecure in a group and insecure about what they want to say. And instead of agreeing to feel the insecurity, the fear, and just agree to feel it, they try not to be insecure. So they become rigid and hard and distant, and their ability to express themselves diminishes because they can hardly breathe. And what comes out of them is not at all connected to the fear that they feel. We just see and experience how they responded to the fear. So if I look at myself, I was a teacher when I was very young, and I remember the first time that I was teaching, and my mouth was so dry, and I was so terrified, and I was sure that I cannot manage with it. And I made a lot of effort not to feel any of this, but to be the person that I thought I should be as a teacher, and to feel only what is relevant to feel. Which means that after an hour of this, I was totally exhausted, and I didn't really manage to bring energy into what I was doing, and I was becoming quite stupid. So the more I managed to relax and just agree to feel the fear, because it's frightening to talk to people, and it's even more frightening to try to teach them something. So more I agreed to just feel the fear and not try to think about it and not try to take it seriously. A feeling is a feeling. So our emotions are like a river. If we agree to feel them, they change just like the water of the river change. If we don't agree to feel them and we move to a place where we know what we should feel, or we think that this is what we should feel, and we keep it on this level, which means mostly in our thoughts, in our head, and not being aware of the true source of emotion that is our belly, and not agreeing to the intense experience that those emotions bring with them. Trying to respond to emotions instead of really feeling them creates a situation where we disconnect from our body and we lose all the intensity and sometimes pleasure, sometimes pain of what is to be fully emotional. Our emotions need a space to become and to move in ourselves. And if we think or we were taught to feel things and we do that instead of feeling, we create a situation where our body gets full of pain or rage or fear, and we just hold it down. And then we suffer from things like depression or tiredness, because we have a source of energy, a source of power, a source of life that is natural, that is humane, that we refuse just to become. So the answer to how do we deal with that is to agree that below this irritation and thinking and knowing what it should be, if we take time to focus on what am I experiencing, what's happening in my body, and give it the space and the time it needs to be fully experienced, we have a chance to get in touch with what we really feel. Not we were taught to feel, not we think we should feel, and not with this kind of rigid emotional control that we try to achieve to be okay, but to just feel what we feel. Now, we usually think that emotion needs expression or it needs to be shared, but what it really needs is the ability to be experienced. It's not about expression, it's not about sharing, it's not about understanding, it's about the ability to just feel what you feel. Emotions come from the passive side of us, not the thinking part, not the doing part, but a part that is deeper, that is mysterious, and it needs that will relax our efforts. It needs that will stop being tense. It needs that will be silent in our heads and not talk to ourselves. It needs that will shift our attention to what we really feel. An example how to use the concept of passivity. Let's say you need to talk in front of people in a group and you need to really show who you are and what you are. This immediately makes our head run very fast, and we have already made like recordings of what we should feel in this situation that we can force on ourselves. To be passive means that I choose to relax all the tension in my muscles, to be aware of how I breathe fully and deeply, to relax my jaws, to not focus my eyes, to achieve a momentarily silence in which I just want to feel, not to do, not to think, not to achieve, not to have, just to agree to the momentary experience of I am that, and that's completely okay, and I just want to feel it. The more we do that, the more we connect it to agreeing and allowing, not forcing and demanding and controlling, we'll find ourselves much richer emotionally.